almost reminds me of mutated cows. So it's all in the eye of the beholder.
I wouldn't have known immediately that that was about the butterflies at Los Alamos escaping the blast.
She's using her platform and her tool as a way to bring attention to something that needs to be changed.
And if you want to create change and make your own art instead of just looking at it, the Craft and Folk Art Museum does that too. It holds year-round art-making workshops. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Visit the Craft and Folk Art Museum at cafam.org for more information. If you're looking to get your motor running, head over to the LA Motorcycle Museum and learn all about the history and influence motorcycles have had in LA and American culture.
Welcome to the Los Angeles Motorcycle Museum. We launched the temporary museum just about 8 months ago. We believe that Los Angeles needs a motorcycle museum.
In Los Angeles, it's a big city, and then so many motorcycle available and a lot of collector available, but it's nothing on a motorcycle museum. So I'm thinking, okay, let's make a motorcycle museum. So that's my goal.
We are now completing the phase of developing the temporary museum, and we are ready to secure the land for the permanent museum. We are talking about property in the Miracle Mile.
Southern California has so much motorcycle histories, racing, and then also the movies.
The real history of the Los Angeles Motorcycle Museum initiative really started with the Guggenheim show in New York. It was called The Art of the Motorcycle. There was a lot of people in the motorcycle community that thought that from that exhibit, that was really a landmark exhibit, there would be a lot of museum that would spawn from that exhibit, but it really didn't happen. This is one of the fastest motorcycles from the 1950s. We have motorcycles from the teens, from the 20s, all the way up to more recent motorcycles. We are a grassroots initiative. The mission of the museum is just the traditional mission of educating and preserving, and we are very excited about bringing this to Los Angeles.
You got a helmet? Oh, I've got a helmet.
Want to check it out for yourself? Tours are available. Find out more at thelamm.org. For nearly 2 decades, the Echo Park Film Center has been the gathering place for filmmakers to tell stories you won't see anywhere else. It's one of Echo Park's hidden gems. Take a look.
Echo Park Film Center is a nonprofit media arts organization in Echo Park. And we've been here 17 years. We're a micro cinema, so we have a tiny 60-seat cinema here in our storefront space where we show experimental and documentary cinema from around the world. We have the Femme Tour Truck here at Echo Park Film Center, and it is a touring festival of feminist films. And the curator is from the Basque region of Spain.
We are a platform that promotes art in the public space, and in this case we use the site of the truck to screen the movies there.
Well, usually there's a truck. There's an actual truck. The truck is not here tonight. So it's a rainy night in Los Angeles. We're indoors.
We try to identify the feminism as a political fight, but also as a human right, using the art as a social action tool.
It's an event that we love because it's showcasing a lot of films by a lot of different people around the world on a theme that's important to us all right now.
And after the movies, we normally make a party to celebrate.
I think sometimes media tends to be very selective, and people don't necessarily feel that they're a part of those stories. So anytime you can kind of break open that closed box and say, hey, we have a very diverse city here, and more of those stories need to be told.
I like smaller, independent studio stuff just because you can hear really, just different stories, but also different ways people are telling stories that don't fit into a traditional model. And so I really like these kind of smaller events for the intimacy of meeting other people. Chairs are here, you have to kind of bump into people and say hello. And that really kind of builds different film community stuff on its own, which is really great.
The Echo Park Film Center hosts a number of film workshops for people of all ages. For more info, visit echoparkfilmcenter.org. Over in Hollywood, it's another form of artistic expression. This one is a new K-pop exhibit that explores how music and contemporary art have the power to influence our thoughts and attitudes. Here's more.
Lace is the longest running contemporary artist space in Los Angeles. We're showing an exhibition called Take My Money, Take My Body, and it's part of our Emerging Curators program.
And my co-curator, Nare Choi, are this year's emerging curators at Lace. We wanted to do a show about K-pop because we really love K-pop, and we also wanted to see the ways in which it's connected to the world.
K-pop is such an interesting global phenomenon. There are so many fans doing amazing work out there, analytically, but also, creating original content.
I love K-pop a lot, but I'm not really a normal fan. But I know so many people that are, and I really don't think that they often think about their place as fans in K-pop, and I want them to really think about it more, which is why I make these pieces.
I'm dedicating this work called Parallel. I'm presenting it as a 3-channel installation. Through this piece, I'm making a connection with Korean contemporary culture and then Korean War.
There's a lot of conversation about whether or not the art world or art exhibition spaces are accessible, but we were more concerned with whether or not they're actually fun.
This show plays off of popular culture. It's referencing music and fashion from Korean popular music, and then makes connections to all kinds of contemporary art and politics.
If I want to talk about my identity, and if I want to talk about, how my country is at the moment, K-pop, I thought it was something that I can't really separate from, what's going on right now in Korea.
Really wanted to use this platform as an opportunity to bring something really fun and flashy and catchy into the space, and also take this time to celebrate this really fascinating cultural moment.
Okay, K-pop lovers, this exhibit is a part of the Emerging Curators program at LACE. That's Los Angeles Contemporary Exhibitions. For dates and times, visit welcometolace.org. Well, you don't see them very often, but there are certain times of the year when some cool sea creatures get washed up on shore. Cabrillo Marine Aquarium's public tide pool walks lets you see them in their natural habitat. Saida Pagan joined in on the fun.
What'd you find?
An adventurous tide pool walk on a sunny afternoon off Point Furman, learning about marine life up close and personal.
And this one is pretty small.
That's what educators at the Cabrillo Marine Aquarium are helping nature lovers experience and discover.
Being so close, it is a great opportunity to come out here, as well as get a really guided tour by the educators here. A good chance for everyone to really see. Maybe they don't know the species or anything, they can learn a little bit as well as see everything.
Guided tide pool walks by the Cabrillo Beach Coastal Park are among the many interactive programs that the aquarium has designed. This outdoor classroom offers a great education.
We mostly saw hermit crabs. They were greenish with blue tips, and we saw 2 hermit crabs with green shells.
The Cabrillo Marine Aquarium is managed by the City of Los Angeles' Department of Recreation and Parks. Inside the huge complex are displays of fascinating sea life. Visitors can see sharks circling around in their tanks or view many different types of jellyfish. And they can see all sorts of interesting sea creatures and plant life. The Cabrillo Marine Aquarium is a very special place. It has the largest collection of Southern California marine life in the world, over 160 species. The aquarium also has an exploration center with interactive exhibits, and there's a nursery inside for scientific research.
You come here, you get to see animals that you would normally never see otherwise, or maybe only see in a picture in a book. And here you can walk right up to the tanks and see them. And again, they're all animals that just live right here, right off the beach.
Many families come to the aquarium time and time again. The older generations take pride in introducing it to the younger ones.
I've always loved this museum. It's one of my favorite places to go, so I want them to have the same love.
Those who went on this tide pool walk say the experience has opened up a whole new world for them, increasing their understanding of the mysteries of the ocean and their level of respect for nature and the environment.
More than 350,000 people visit the Cabrillo Marine Aquarium each year. But if you prefer to get up close with some of the ocean's largest mammals, the aquarium offers that too. Whale watching and dolphin tours are in high demand, so we jumped on board to see if we could catch a glimpse.
So what are we looking for today? We're looking for blows. The gray whale blow is about 6 to 10 feet high. Insert light. We are expecting to see some of our friends, the common dolphin, and we are hoping to see a variety of whales. Gray whales, humpback whales, or fin whales are in the area right now, so we're just hoping to cross paths.
Southern California is one of the best whale watching locations in the world. In this general area, we can expect about 30 species of whales, dolphins, and porpoises. It is a great opportunity to see what lives really just outside this huge metropolis. Every trip is different. You never know what you're going to see, but there's always something amazing out here.
Did you have a good time seeing the dolphins? Yeah, but I really want to see whales.
Now, how cool is this? The aquarium has been doing whale watching tours for 48 years. To see how you can join in, go to CabrilloMarineAquarium.org. From origami to kaiju, we joined the Japanese American National Museum as they celebrated the Year of the Boar.
So today is the museum's Oshogatsu program. It's celebrating the new year, and this is the Year of the Boar. We have demonstrations with candy making. So we have Shan, the candy man, who's a few people who still makes rice candy sculptures, and so he is making boar sculptures this year. We also have origami making. They're holding boars this year. And also we have activities where they are folding boar ears for hats. Kaiju versus Heroes, which really looks at the artist Mark Nagata and his experience with Ultraman and Godzilla and toys of that nature coming from Japan, but really making it the Japanese-American experience.
I think it's fantastic because it gives people like me of the older generation and even older generation an opportunity just to be nostalgic and feel good on great memories. And it also gives a new generation and the newer people like ideas to like reboot a few of the classics.
The Japanese American National Museum exists to really tell the experience of Japanese Americans from immigration in the late 1800s till today. So we do have a core exhibition that talks about those experiences, particularly around the World War II experience when Japanese were incarcerated.
We learn new stuff that we didn't know, and we need to know our history all around the world, so we're not going to make the same mistake again and again.
Kind of opened my mind about
how we should be polite to each other, how we should respect other people's traditions.
And I think for Angelinos, they come out to this museum because it is a focus on Japanese American history and culture, and today they're really getting to experience what LA is all about in terms of the diversity that is represented in Los Angeles. Check our website, www.janm.org, and we'll have a listing of all the things that are happening all year round.
A new playground is unveiled for kids in Arlida. Hollywood visitors get some help in getting around, and free trees are coming your way. All this in City Beat. Welcome to Hollywood. Navigating Tinseltown attractions just got way easier thanks to a series of new signs in the Hollywood Entertainment District. These colorful Art Deco signs are designed for pedestrians seeking, well, just about anything Hollywood. Councilwoman Nuri Martinez cut the ribbon on a new playground at the Branford Recreation Center in Arlida. Kids will love the new park's amenities, which include an environmentally friendly play area, shade canopies, and oversized kid-friendly musical instruments.
Improve them, keep them nice and clean and safe for our families to enjoy on the weekend.
City Plants is back with another free tree giveaway for city residents. Improve the canopy of your home, business, or community today by visiting cityplants.org to get started. Ah, there's nothing like a little shade. Her dedication and commitment to her community is unwavering. At 91, she's been giving back for most of her life, and now she's the one getting special recognition for her many years of service.
Barbara Newbold, 91 years young, began her work with the Salvation Army 71 years ago in 1947. For your service and dedication, Barbara, you are being awarded today with our first ever Community Service Award.
Thank you so much for this lovely award.
Well, one of the most important things that we can do in life is to leave a legacy. Barbara Newbold has certainly left a legacy in the Salvation Army.
Barbara has been a surrogate mother and spiritual mentor to many, always with empathy and respect.
It's something that is very close to my heart because my oldest brother has also worked for the Salvation Army, and so I know the amazing work that Barbara has done.
We're humbly honored to know that when families are faced with hardships in life, the Salvation Army is the first place they turn to.
I said it, if I had it all to do over again, I would do exactly the same thing.
She has really demonstrated, I think, what it means to give back and making life better for others. And that's exactly what Barbara Newbold has done.
I feel very honored.
Celebrate LA's diverse culinary scene during the latest Dine LA. Get transported into a world of contemporary art and take in a special screening of a Sundance-winning documentary. All this and things to do. Angelinos, don't start that New Year's diet just yet, because you don't want to miss out on Dine LA for winter 2019. Visitors and locals alike can enjoy specially priced lunch and dinner menus at over 400 participating restaurants. This 15-day dining event will offer the world's most distinctive and diverse culinary experiences you can find in SoCal. Sample the winter edition of Dine LA, happening January 11th through the 25th. For more details, be sure to check out dinela.com. While you're in the Arts District, go enjoy The Figurine, a new visual concert happening at MASH Gallery. This latest work by Hallam Machian aims to explore the similarities between color theory and musical composition using action painting and live models. Don't miss Figurine at MASH Gallery going on January 19th through March 2nd from 6 to 9 p.m. Located at 1325 Palmetto Street. For more, visit mashgallery.com. Junior High Los Angeles is screening the award-winning film Matangi Maya MIA. This documentary film details the remarkable journey of Sri Lankan performer MIA, from refugee immigrant to pop star sensation. Be sure to catch Matangi Maya MIA on January 19th at 7 p.m. or January 20th at 2 p.m. at Junior High Los Angeles, located at 5656 Hollywood Boulevard. For tickets, visit juniorhighlosangeles.com/calendar. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay. From all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. See you next time for more of LA This Week.
This is Koreatown. My name is Hwang Bae Kim. You watch LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. If you would please take your seats. Shh. Please take your seats. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, January 15th. I want to welcome all of you to City Hall and to this City Council meeting. I wish, on behalf of the council, we wish everybody a happy and healthy New Year's. Madam Clerk, we do have a quorum. Would you please call the roll?
Blumenfield, Bonin, Buscaino, Cedillo, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Koretz, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rodriguez, Rue, Wesson. 13 members and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Koretz moves, Harris Dawson seconds. Next.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Rue moves and Martinez seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, today is Tuesday and time for the flag salute.
Why don't we all rise? We'll be led today by Miss Monica Rodriguez.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you please put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so before we proceed, I'd like to recognize the city attorney to read into the record.
Thank you, Mr. President. So as our first meeting of 2019 begins, I'd like to take a moment to remind everyone in the audience that some new council and committee rules have come into effect. The new rules state that a member of the audience who disrupts multiple council or committee meetings may be excluded from future meetings for 1 or more days. The number of days increases with the number of disruptions. The exact rules are available on the city's website, and a summary of the rules is on a large poster board in the back of the room and just outside the doors of the council chambers. The new rules do not address the content of speakers' remarks. Instead, these rules are designed to prevent repeated actual disruptions of council and committee meetings. Our hope is that the new rules will help the council and committee meetings run more efficiently to complete the city's business and to allow as many members of the public as possible to present their comments to their elected representatives in an orderly manner. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Madam Clerk, let us move to item 21, I believe it is. Could we read this item?
Item 21 is an item for which public hearing has been held. The committee report for this item has been submitted and circulated for council's consideration.
Members, this is a very important item. The best way for this body to move forward the people's business is when we are at capacity, 15 members. everyone that is here has served during a time when we've been one member short. People are offered other jobs, people run for other offices, and sometimes they leave their positions here earlier than we would like and earlier than maybe they thought they were when they were elected. One of the worst things that can occur for the people of the great city of Los Angeles is to have no council person representing them. The people of this city put in place the ability for this council to appoint individuals to fill vacancies. We do that for a variety of reasons, so that the people in that council district have someone that they can come to and make their request of. We do that so that the resources within that district can be protected by a voting member of this body. But for whatever reason, this council has not appointed anyone since the 60s. Today, we have an opportunity to rectify that situation and ensure that the people of Council District 12 will have a voting member without a break in service. So that's why many of us present to you the possibility of us appointing former councilman, an individual with over 30 years, 3 decades experience, an individual high caliber and highly respected, and that's Mr. Greg Smith. Many of us who have come in to serve out an individual's terms, we all have stories. My story is when Council District 10 was vacant, there was, and I was running for this office, there was $1 million or almost $1 million that general manager wanted to have transferred from Council District 10 into the general fund. When I found that out as a candidate, thank God that I knew who our current mayor was, the chair of the committee that was going to take that action, and I was able to call, and they did not move forward in moving that money. So that $1 million was protected, and it stayed in the district where it was supposed to stay. That's the type of service you get when you have a voting member on the council. If I did not know anybody in City Hall, if I did not have a relationship with then Council President Padilla and Chairman Eric Garcetti, then maybe that money that was due again for the people in Council District 10 would have been divided amongst the body. With this action we take today, we will be protecting the resources of that district. So I'd like to ask Mr. Smith to come forward for a minute, speak to this body, and then I will ask for a vote. And before we begin, I want to thank you for your temporary insanity that would make you come back and help us out. With that said, if you would address the body, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President and members of the council. It's an honor and pleasure to be with you today. After taking 8 years of vacation, I'm back, I guess. And I thank you, Mr. President, for your phone call in November to suggest this idea. I personally believe, as you stated so well, that the city has missed a great opportunity for over 50 years. The last guy that sat in this chair in this kind of a situation was John Ferraro, the very guy this building's named after, this part of the building's named after. So that was the last time it happened, and John was not an elected council member, he was a commissioner at the time. So that the fact is that we have the ability to bring someone in, to leave 250,000 people without a voice on the council is wrong. And for 50 years, that's what we have done. So I think this is a model that I hope will be the model for the future, that all of you today, future councils will look to and say, those people did it right. And we want to follow the example they did, not because of what I will do, but because what you should be doing, and that is empowering the people of the district to be heard. And so I'm honored to be given that opportunity. I thank the president for calling me. And I also want to thank very much, when he called me, it was in November, and I was actually sitting on the couch, and it was a long conversation, and my wife walked in after and said, "Who was that?" I said, "Honey, you better sit down." To her credit, when I explained what was going on, it didn't take her but a few minutes to say, "You need to do this not for you or us, but for the district." And that was the right answer. So, Chris, thank you very much. I'm joined here today by a few family members. If I may just for a moment introduce my son, Matthew Smith, my daughter, Krista Shader, my granddaughter, Alexis. I'm also joined by my business partner, Bill Novador, and Tammy from our company that's building a hospital for mental patients and physical ability patients in Riverside County, of which most will be homeless people. And we're going to save the county of Riverside $10 million a year by taking those people and putting them in a facility that's designed for mental rehabilitation. So very happy to have you with us today. And I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. In my years here, I was known as Mr. Recycling, and I guess we're kind of recycling because you're recycling me. So we're continuing that effort of recycling. But I enjoyed being a member of the council. I enjoyed being here for 32 years and seeing some great people go through here. I am excited about working with some of you again, and some of you who I've known for a long time, and some of you who will be my new colleagues. It is an honor to be a part of this body, and I hope I will serve it in the highest standards that you expect from me. Thank you very much for the opportunity. And, Mr. President, I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Well, one question, and that question is from me. I think on the record, if you would talk about the future and what your future intentions are.
In August, I'm going to go on vacation again. To the point, Mr. President, I am making a statement of my new staff, my new council district staff, if they'd all wave their hands real quick. These are incredible people I've just gotten to know that Mr. Englander left me. Fine staff. They will be releasing a statement right now stating very unequivocally that I am not a candidate for the 12th district seat. I'm here to serve until that election is held and any new councilman will be seated.
Thank you very much for that clarification. Okay, with that said, Madam Clerk, would you please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
All right, that action is approved.
Thank you very much.
And we have to move on that. That has to be urgent forthwith. And public comment was already satisfied on this matter. Okay, so we're going to go urgent forthwith on this, so we have to vote on urgent forthwith. So let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, so now what we're going to do, we have a very important presentation, and we need to do some technical things right now where it relates to adding members on the board, our voting board. So this is a very appropriate time for me to recognize Mr. Bonin for a very, very important presentation. Mr. Bonin, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, colleagues, and Happy New Year. Congratulations to Mr. Smith. Today, I'm rising and I'm standing in front of you today to celebrate the 70th anniversary of KTTV, Channel 11 here in Los Angeles, which is based in West LA in the 11th District, which I am proud to represent. Exactly 70 years and 2 weeks ago today, KTTV aired its first broadcast, which was the Rose Parade. For the past 7 decades, KTTV, now better known as Fox News LA, not the other Fox News, not the Trump News Network, Fox 11, has been invited into millions of living rooms where the station has served the crucial role of both informing and entertaining us here in Los Angeles. The anchors and journalists at this station have been with us during some of the most exciting and important moments in Los Angeles history, from Lakers and Dodger championships to wildfires and trials and uprisings. From rose parades to inaugural events, and from high-speed chases to consequential community meetings. Through it all, Angelenos had in KTTV a trusted resource where neighbors could learn more about their communities and get more engaged in their neighborhoods. KTTV, Channel 11, does more than inform. It also entertains. In addition to some excellent and highly watched and anticipated sports broadcasting over the years, KTTV is the home of Good Day LA, the station's morning show and one of the most popular shows in Los Angeles. The show is a great mix of news and weather and traffic and sports and entertainment, and it helps those of us in Los Angeles get our days started with both important news stories and fun and interesting features and interviews. Especially, colleagues, with the ongoing attacks on journalists nationwide, especially coming from the current occupant of the White House, it's really important, I think, to acknowledge and celebrate and appreciate the invaluable role that journalists play in our democracy in keeping us informed and keeping us engaged. So this anniversary is a great opportunity to remember how important the journalists around me here today are to our society as well as to Los Angeles as a whole. And I am very happy to present this certificate to Bob Cook, the President and General Manager, for the role that you play in informing and entertaining LA. And on behalf of the entire city of Los Angeles, I am very proud to celebrate today, January 15th, as KTTV Day in LA.
I'll make this brief. We're thrilled to celebrate 70 years with our community partner, the City of Los Angeles, and very deeply honored to accept this proclamation. Thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to, before you leave, and we are also happy to see each and every one of you, even though we see most of you on a regular basis, but I do want to recognize Mr. Buscaino for a comment.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to rise and recognize KTTV. Thank you, Mr. Bonin, for celebrating 70 years here in Los Angeles. And Mr. Cook, you know, I was telling Christine Devine earlier, my first love was broadcast journalism, and her first love was politics. So maybe we could switch one day. But no, seriously, I have come to realize and respect the work our broadcast journalists do day in and day out, covering the stories in Los Angeles. But what I'm also have recognized that what you see on camera, you see the heart behind the cameras as well and off the set. In my district, I've seen our reporters heavily involved in our community through a number of community-based organizations and a number of partnerships. Christine and I have gone way back with the LAPD, and your love for Los Angeles Police Foundation and your commitment to the Police Foundation. Hal Eisner, who's here as well, has done so much work in promoting the good news happening in my district as well as throughout the city of Los Angeles. And most recently, Sandra Endo and I were performing at the Warner Grand with the San Pedro City Ballet's Nutcracker, and boy, she can dance. So I just want to really pause and reflect and thank the work that you do both on and off camera, and that is a true community partnership. In a time where, of course, you're all focused on hard news, I get it, but I know KTTV and what you've done over the years, you also focus on the good things happening in Los Angeles, and for that, we're grateful, we recognize you, we love you, and we bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give them a round of applause. Okay, with that said, you know what, Mr. Bonin, another colleague said everybody ought to be introduced. So I agree with Mr. Labange on this. Let's introduce everybody that's here this morning.
I thought he was here because he thought we were taking another vote after Greg and bringing him back too.
Well, he's lobbying me for that, but why don't we introduce the whole team? Or just have everybody, yeah.
Hello, I'm Christine Devine. I anchor the 5 and 10 p.m. news.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Wednesday's child.
And I'm Hal Eisner, and regular reporter, Fox 11 News in Depth on Sunday. Some of you have been on that. And also have a podcast called What the Hal?
Yeah.
Hope you'll listen.
Okay, Hal, now your people are going to contact my people, right? Okay, next.
Come on, Tony. We're team. I'm Roxy Caravadian.
I'm Tony McEwing.
We anchor I do the 4:30 by myself. So if you wake up early, join me for 30 minutes. Tony joins me at 5, and we're on till 7:30 on Good Day LA. We do things throughout the morning, and we have a good time.
And she annoys me.
Yes, I do.
Come on, everybody.
Bobby D.
Hi, thanks. Bob DeCastro, anchor reporter. I've been at the station now for almost 15 years. And it's thank you. It's great to be back in the chamber and to see you, Mr. Weston.
Good to have you guys back. Let's keep it going.
Everybody.
Sorry, sir. I'm the vice president and news director. I've been covering news in Los Angeles for 40 years, and I'm very proud of this team. Thank you so much.
As you should be.
My name is Mitch Waldo. I'm the archivist for the station. And just to say it, that 43 years ago, I used to be a reporter for radio down here, City Hall. And it's real nice to come back after all this time.
Well, welcome home.
Hi there, I'm Pete Wilgorn, the managing editor at KTTV, and thanks very much for the honor today. Thank you.
How you doing today? I'm Tony Spearman. I'm the news operations manager, and I'm a bit of a lifer at Fox. My second stint, combined 23 years, and first became my home when I was 16. So we're very thankful and privileged to be here, and thank you for this honor. Have a good day.
Mr. Bonnet.
Thank you very much. Go Rams.
All right. Thank you guys, and congratulations. All right. Again, congratulations to KTTV. Members, it has been the tradition, members, it has been the tradition of this council to conduct an election for the council president pro tem by voice. With the departure of Mr. Englander, it is necessary for us to do that. We're so fortunate that we have an individual who served as the assistant president pro tem of this council for many years. So I'm going to ask the clerk to conduct this vote. And members, I recommend Council Member Nuri Martinez. Now, Madam Clerk, it's back to you.
Councilmember Blumenfield.
With pleasure, voting aye.
Councilmember Bonin.
Can we get him at the end? He's taking a couple of photographs. Could somebody go yank him out of the back? Let's move, and then we'll catch him at the end, Sharon.
Councilmember Buscaino.
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 I stand and support our dear colleague and friend, Nuri Martinez.
Councilmember Cedillo.
Mr. President, now is the time. I vote aye.
Councilmember Harris Dawson.
Martinez.
Councilmember Weezar.
Yes.
Councilmember Koretz.
I don't know. This is a tough decision. Yeah, I think so.
Councilmember Krikorian.
Well, because her right elbow is precariously close to me, proudly I vote aye.
Councilmember Martinez.
Of course. Thank you.
Think about it. Think about it.
Joe's making it tough. Joe's making it real tough.
Councilmember O'Farrell.
And her left elbow is on my side, but this is an easy one. Absolutely yes for my sister Nuri.
Councilmember Rodriguez.
Proud to support you, sister. Aye.
Councilmember Rue.
With pleasure, yes.
Councilmember Smith.
Please make my first vote on the council yes for Nuri Martinez.
Councilmember Bonin.
I want it to be last to make it official. Yes.
Well, technically, I don't think he is last, is he? Don't I have to actually vote?
Yes, Council President. Council President Wesson.
Okay, members, let's make a little history here and appoint the first Latina president pro tem of the Los Angeles City Council. I am an aye vote for Nuri Martinez. Congratulations.
14 ayes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Mr. President, if I can just say a few words just to thank not only you, sir, as an amazing leader of this council. Thank you very much for entrusting in me to continue to support and guide this council. So to you, thank you very much. I want to give you a big round of applause, my friend. And I want to thank every single one of you colleagues who have entrusted in me to help lead this council as well. 5 years ago when I was elected, so many of you were with me. Some of you were with me since 2013. Some of you weren't. But one of the things that is so significant about my win was not only was I the only woman on the LA City Council that served here for 4 years, but each single one of you has played a significant role in making sure that I delivered to my district. That even though we might not have been together in an election, every single one of you came together and we ensured that we were delivering not only for our districts, but for our city. But most significantly, you have all been incredible friends to me. So thank you very much to each and every single one of you who have played a role in making sure that I was successful, to making sure that I was delivering for my district, and to making sure that no matter what happens on election day, we continue to serve the people of Los Angeles. So thank you very much for all of you for doing that. But I also want to remind everyone that this is very personal to me. This is significant to me as a woman. This is the very first time in the history of the city of Los Angeles that a Latina and a woman gets to be the president pro tem of the city council. And that is significant because since I gotten here, I've been committed to ensuring that little girls across this city, no matter where you come from or what zip code you live in, have an opportunity to dream and see themselves serving on this LA City Council. Since I was a little girl, I would look up and I would see at least 5 women on the city council. I'm not the only woman on the city council. I have my sister, Monica Rodriguez, who has joined me, but we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go to commit to making sure that little girls across the city see themselves in leadership positions and positions of power here in the city of Los Angeles. We are so fortunate, members, that we are such a diverse city and that it's reflective upon our city council. When I look around this horseshoe, I can proudly say that we have Jewish Americans sitting on our city council. We have African Americans, we have Latinas, we have women, we have LGBT, our LGBT members that are here with us. We have the Armenian community. Our Italian brothers and sisters, I can't leave you out, Joe. Hello, Native Americans are here with us as well. But that is what's so beautiful about the city of Los Angeles, that it is reflective upon the city and the communities that we all represent. So for all the little boys and all the little girls out that are watching us here today, you too can be members of the city council, and we are going to be so proud to make sure that we continue to instill in our young people that they too can lead in a significant way to making sure that future generations are served and that future generations are reflective upon all of us that reflect the population that we serve. So again, thank you very much, members, for this opportunity to lead, for this opportunity to make history today. Mr. President, thank you very much for entrusting in me. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give Ms. Martinez, President Pro Tem. And with Ms. Martinez taking over the position of President Pro Tem of this body, that means there will be a need for an assistant president pro tem. And it is with great pride that I announce to this body that I have selected Joe Buscaino to be the next assistant president pro tem for the Los Angeles City Council. Let's give Joey B a round of applause and ask him to say a few words.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for this great honor and responsibility. And Nuri, your words of encouragement, of inspiration, really tugged at my heart. And I'm proud to serve alongside these two amazing leaders in the city of Los Angeles. And Nuri, what you just said reminds me of how important that my daughter, who will soon be 12 next week, can too have this opportunity to sit in one of these chairs and lead this great city. Today, with this appointment, Mr. President, it reminds me why I decided to run for Los Angeles City Council. And the main reason why I decided to run for LA City Council, colleagues, is because I was frustrated. After serving honorably as an LAPD officer for 15 years, I was tired of witnessing firsthand the despicable choices that poverty forces upon people. I grew frustrated that I couldn't do more to help on the front end. Before a struggle with poverty became a crisis, and before a crisis became a call to 911 and a Code 3 emergency. I believed in the power of local government to alleviate suffering and improve lives. And I believe this city council has done so much more in significant ways than any other city council in this country. We led the way on a $15 minimum wage. We led the way on the social equity program with recreational cannabis, and we led the way on legalizing street vending. And as I join this leadership team, I want to thank this city council for setting precedents and making news by enacting policies that help improve the lives of our most vulnerable in this city, while remain focused on the core roles and responsibilities of local government, ensuring public safety, building and maintaining infrastructure, and managing development and plan use and land use. So to my colleagues, I'm so grateful. I promise you that I will lead you with honor and distinction. Thank you, Mr. President, for this opportunity.
Thank you. One more round of applause for both Ms. Martinez and Mr. Buscaino. Also, members, there will be adjustments made to committee assignments, and I believe those will be distributed immediately or within the next few minutes. So please, when you get them, know what adjustments have been made, and you can check to see if there were any adjustments to your committee assignments. And with that said, let's continue with our work for today.
Mr. President, items 1 through 14 are items noticed for public hearing. For the record, the time period for item number 1 is January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019. And sir, there are cards on all items 1 through 14, sir.
Okay, well, let's hold those items and continue.
Items 15 through 22 are items for which public hearings have been held. There is a request to continue item 22B to January 22nd, 2019, and to continue item 22C to January 29th, 2019, sir.
Okay, well, so ordered, and let's prepare to...
Also, sir, items 22A and D need to be held on the desk for motions. Those are budget and finance reports that were submitted without recommendation.
Okay, well, let us hold those items. Ms. Rodriguez.
22D can be received and filed, please.
Okay. You got that, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Wesson. So it's only 22A that needs to be held on the desk.
Okay, so let's vote on every item that's available then to vote on. If you would please. So please, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, let us continue.
Items 23 through 34 are items which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, so without Mr. Rue.
I call 27 special, and I have a verbal amendment for 28.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before us.
Mr. President, there are cards on all items.
Would it be appropriate at this time for Mr. Rue to make his amendment?
Yes, sir.
Okay, why don't you do the amendment?
Thank you, Mr. President. For item number 28, I'd like to change the dollar amount from $15,280 to $6,210, reducing it.
Okay, and now we will hold those items and move on to the next section of the agenda, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, for the record, the amendment for item 32 has been posted, circulated, and is before council, sir.
Are there cards on 32?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, let's hold that and continue.
Items 35 and 36 are items which, for closed session, would you like to hold those on the desk, sir?
I'm going to defer to Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Items 35 and 36 are both settlement recommendations that have been considered by the Budget and Finance Committee, which recommends approval of the City Attorney's recommendations. Those can be done in open session unless members have questions or concerns.
Okay, I'm looking on the queue. I see there are no questions. If you'd read those two items, and then we'll prepare to vote on them.
Item number 35, in the case entitled Alexandra Levinsky versus City of Los Angeles, there is a recommendation to expend up to $650,000 in settlement. Item number 36, in the case entitled Michael Kenzel versus City of Los Angeles et al., there is a recommendation to expend $400,000 in settlement.
Okay, let us prepare to vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Thank you. That brings us where?
That brings council to general public comment or items called special.
Okay, if I could call forth Ryan Reza Farsi and Mr. Herman Ankur Patel. Mr. Herman, you're right there, so go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I conduct the business on behalf of the legislative body, we the people, if you're not familiar with the impractical embarrassment within CD10, let us talk about the contributions. Such contributions regarding and including traffic study access on traffic conditions. As you heard, under one settlement, $400,000 of your hard-working taxpayer dollars went into a settlement regarding used.
Mr. Herman, we handled the settlements already. They passed and open.
It's old business, fool. Now I'm regarding back to my point. Stay on topic.
No, you stay on topic, Mr. Herman.
So, with such a departure of personnel, on item 27, as you've heard, California Environmental Quality Act, we are subjected to removal by permit and request for sidewalk repairs. But Willits versus Los Angeles indicates that the city is not spending $30 million a year to fix our fucking sidewalks and streets. And that's a real severe problem. In addition to multiple lawsuits brought by we the people, the public, who cannot use safely sidewalk access of sidewalks and streets due to inadequacy and performance by elected officials at their capacity. So let us continue to sue this city into bankruptcy. Thank you, Mr. Krikorian. In addition to all this matter, let me go back and remind you of my problems regarding the liens. Liens are unconstitutional. Why? Because they violate your civil rights of due process. The city does not engage to send certified mail, Mr. City Attorney, certified mail to the individual who's the property owner. So you charge people at 300% and cause this emotional distress and harm by bringing their goddamn ass here to fight on their behalf of the lien. And that is unconstitutional. Stop bringing harm to people who want to remain in their homes and not live in the fucking street like me. Being homeless is a bitch. H-H-H, bitch. And then, to certify my diplomacy on the so-called issues of lighting, I am happy to hear that in CD 14 on item 10, fuck you, Weezar.
Okay, let's give him his 1 minute, Madam Clerk.
Now, as you heard of the opening of this council, as they continue to amend rules that violate our rights, for the record, I am the legislative body, and I will control this horseshoe of fools the same way the FBI is investigating corruption, conspiracy to lie and steal using general public funds. And in addition to that, why couldn't we have the departure of Weezar today to enact a new council? That would have been a motion by me, the legislative body, to chair the action. So now I'm demanding a motion to remove Jose Weezar, whose interest is a conflict of interest in our legality and liability of interest to conduct business on people. Continue to strike LUSD, and again, the departure of the furloughs, no. Trump.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Herman. Yes, sir. Identify yourself.
Yes, sir. Good morning, President Wesson. This is Ryan Reza Farside, and I requested to speak on multiple matters.
Well, Mr. Reza, you have items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yes.
6, 7, 8, 9.
First off, I want to...
Wait. 9 through... We'll hold your time. 9 through 26. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Ryan Reza Farside. I'm a Los Angelian, and I'm here on behalf of myself and every shareholder of Los Angeles, past, present, and future, including all those teachers that are outside wearing the red, city attorney, city clerk. No one's talked about them yet. It's very important that you talk about them. They're the ones in charge of your children. So let's talk about items 1 through 7, which is all your Levi's. This is, what is this? Mr. City Attorney, is that the Mike Fuhrer's work here? Mike Fiu Doctor. He wants to levy these people. I was calling him Mike Fiu Doctor, right? Where is he? I've never seen him here. I've been here like 12, 13 times. The City Attorney is not here, ladies and gentlemen. He's writing you fees to levy you. Let's go to number 22A. $22A is another lien. You know what's ironic is that this city is very good at putting liens. This lien is for 6621 South Hoover Street. The lien is $2,547.22. So I have a question in regards to these liens, and I've had this continuous question. I made this question for the city clerk, Holly Walcott, the city attorney, Mr. Mike Fiu Doctor, Mr. City Council members, and the city does not respond. I spoke to the city clerk last week, Holly Walcott. What did she tell me? I said, what debts did you put on the citizens' back? You have to get all these levies to pay our debts, right? We're $27 billion in the hole. What debts did you put on the people's back? And the city clerk told me, no, Ryan, we're good at levying. You look at all these levies. 22 to 27, these are all levies. They're very good at collecting. What they're not good at doing is spending. Why are they not good at spending? Well, the article says we're the sinkhole of United States of America, third worst city in terms of spending money. You got $28 billion in debt and outstanding. The city clerk does not know, hey Ryan, how much did we spend on your behalf 2016 and 17 putting debt on people's backs? The city does not know. So I'm here to give you advice, Mr. Wesson. I'm very good at operating businesses. You get a bank statement from the bank, it tells you how much money you spent. So you add up those 12 months bank statements of how much you spent, and you have a $9.9 billion budget. The extra is the money you spent over on our backs. You put the debt on our back. She says this is a decentralized system. I don't have that number. I'm going to want my 1 minute now.
Let's give him his 1 minute for general public comment.
1 minute, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a nobody, a Los Angelian. I'm here to hear for those teachers outside that are not getting paid while you guys are making your money. That's right, the city clerk in the city of Newport Beach makes like $1.2 million. The city clerk in the city of Irvine makes $1 million. The police chief in Newport Beach makes $2.5 million. But our president makes $400,000. He gets $100,000 non-taxable travel expense, $50,000 for expenses, $19,000 for entertainment, $569,000. So I want to know, how does the city attorney in Irvine, a city that has a $200 million budget, make $2 million? Does that make sense to you? That's where your debt is, United States of America. That's why you can't pay those teachers outside, because the people in charge are paying themselves way too much money, and the whole state and the whole thing is underfunded. There's your debt, United States of America. Thanks to your city attorneys. God bless America. My name is Ryan Reza Farsai. I am a Los Angelian.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now, if we could have Mr. Patel. Mr. Patel, you have items 24, 25, 29, and then general public comment. So he gets 3 minutes now and then another minute. Start it all over, please. Go ahead.
So on the first day of Los Angeles City Council in 2019, we're in the second day of the teacher strike. We're in the 25th day of the partial shutdown of the federal government. And some of you had said you support teachers. And I've seen it, sponsored ads on Facebook. The teachers right now are outside of the California Charter School Association.
Mr. Patel, hold his time. Mr. Patel, I'm sorry, sir. You may want to save that for your general public comment. Right now, you have to speak on items 24, 25, and 26.
So on items 24, 25, and 26, the reason why I asked to speak on these is because they are all specific dealings that the city has with private corporations, either moving pieces of property or selling this or agreeing on something. But there is no community impact statement, right? I know neighborhood councils have a role in this, but it seems like we have a pay-to-play problem, not just in the city council, but it's from the top to the bottom. And a place like this, the community impact statement, would be the place where we could get more information to the public. So these private corporations, I don't know if they made any contributions to any city council members or to an independent expenditure or to any other organization that helped them make this deal with the city of Los Angeles. Could we not, as a city council, direct the ethics commission to put in whatever, because they're supposed to be doing this in advance, right? They should already look to see if these private corporations have made contributions to elected officials. Why isn't that information put onto the agenda right away? That would be a step in transparency to see how these private corporations are paying to play potentially or not. And that would make a difference in terms of the transparency and how that goes down. The other item that I wish to speak on was the Transportation Mitigation Fund in District 10. And it generally seems like a nice idea. Why isn't that in other districts? Right? Having funds directed to specific issues seems like a nice fundraising mechanism, a slush fund potentially, but let's give the benefit of the doubt and say that we're actually trying to solve problems. Traffic is a huge issue. I'd like to see my now new city council member, Greg Smith, apparently appointed. I didn't get a chance to speak on public comment there, but maybe I'd like to see CD12 bring that up. Why isn't there another fund for traffic mitigation in all these different districts? That kind of seems a little, I don't want to use negative words. I'm trying to be more diplomatic, but if one district can do it and other districts are not, that's a little suspicious or confusing. Maybe it's something that needs to be done as a whole as opposed to district by district. But there is opportunity to raise funds to solve problems across Los Angeles. And talking to those specific items, I think transparency and then using the funds that the people are willing to generate, be they private corporations to solve issues of transportation or after-school issues or whatever it may be. There are these different mechanisms that the city council can utilize, and I hope you do it judiciously and transparently.
Let's give him his 1 minute for general. Now, hold it. But now, Mr. Patel, you could anything we have a direct or indirect relationship with.
I appreciate that and holding my time. So again, on the first day of Los Angeles City Council 2019, we're in the second day of a teacher strike. I'm actually a substitute teacher right now. I'm giving up $325 to be in solidarity with teachers and walk the line, right? And the scabstitutes are getting paid $42 an hour for up to 8 hours a day. I don't want to get into too much details about that because my teacher brothers and sisters are over at the California Charter School Association drawing attention to their money that they're piling into elections. So I ask you as the Los Angeles City Council, who have stated in different ways that you support teachers, even wearing red, take action on this issue. Don't take money from the Charter School Association. Don't support candidates for office that are taking money from the California Charter School Association. And if you want to be unbiased, don't take money from the teachers union either. Try to work to get money out of politics because we have a pay-to-play problem. And let's start 2019 with a fresh look at these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Mr. President, I suggest we give Mr. Herman a warning. Mr. Herman, during the last speaker's comments, you have stood up multiple times, waved a flag, held up a banana, and been moving around constantly. It is distracting, and it prevents the members from being able to concentrate on the speaker. It's a disruption of the meeting. So with the President's leave, I suggest we give him a warning to stop that, or he may be asked to leave and then removed from the meeting.
Okay, Mr. Herman, let's act appropriately. Madam Clerk, why don't we go through? I believe that ends all of the multi comment and general. Doesn't end general public comment, but every comment relating to a specific item. So why don't we take up the items? So what would be the first item before us?
Mr. President, Council could vote on 1 through 14 right now.
Okay, if Madam Clerk, if you'd put on the queue items 1 through 14. Let us now open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
Okay, please continue.
Mr. President, council can vote on 28 as well as 32 as amended, sir.
All right, 28, 32 as amended. Please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
That brings us where?
That brings council to items 23 through 26, as well as 29 through 31, 33, and 34, sir.
Okay, let's prepare to vote. Mr. City Attorney?
If we could hold 24 and 25 for a moment.
Let's hold 24 and 25 for a moment. So that leaves what for us to act on, Madam Clerk?
That leaves 23, 26, 29, 30, 31, 33, and 34, sir.
Okay, let's vote. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
Mr. President, 27 was held special by Councilmember Rue.
Mr. Rue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, earlier this year, the City of LA made a $3 million payment to a resident who was severely injured and will be for the rest of our life as a result of our broken sidewalks in Cherokee Avenue. There is no question that we need to repair our broken sidewalks. It's a matter of accessibility and public safety. However, on initial look, the city translated this to mean that the removal of 18 mature trees along Cherokee Avenue was also required. Trees that provide shade, reduce pollution, and are crucial to our health and climate. Decades of growth and maturity ripped out without much of an afterthought. Fixing our sidewalks and protecting our trees should not and cannot be a zero-sum game. We need our sidewalks, we need our trees, and we need to preserve both in the city of Los Angeles. It is unacceptable to lose one quality of life factor to gain another. So I was thrilled that when our new director of Bureau of Street Services, with the strong support of our Public Works Commissioners, was willing to yet again reevaluate the situation and work with me on finding another way. Today, I am pleased to announce that we found the other way. The vote before us is an option to do both: preserve our much-needed urban canopy and fix a heavily damaged sidewalk. This new plan would save 14 trees from removal while addressing the existing sidewalk conditions on Cherokee. This is a significant victory for the city and for our urban canopy. And I want to thank Adele and his team for working with my office for finding an alternate solution, and in addition to the Public Works Commissioners as well. But this is only the first step. This solution should not just be for Cherokee Avenue. In October, I introduced a motion alongside with Councilmember Blumenfield calling for a top-to-bottom reform on our tree policies and rethinking how our trees are prioritized in our city. I look forward to debating those ideas because, frankly, our city is only getting hotter, and it's our time to act on this because it's only getting shorter. Thank you, and I ask for an aye vote today.
We will give you a vote, maybe not an aye vote. Okay, on this item, Madam Clerk, if you'd please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
That is approved. Madam Clerk, why don't we take up item 24? Let's do it separately. So we're going to take up item 24. On that item, please open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 eyes.
And do we have anyone here from HCID, Mr. City Attorney, on item 25?
Yes, I believe we do.
If they could please come forward. I think this is for clarification.
It is. It's clarification of the report.
Please have a and identify yourselves.
Good afternoon. Good morning. My name is Mei Chang. I'm a deputy city attorney for HCID.
Good morning. My name is Rick Tonthat with HCID, and we'd like to make a correction to item 25, which is a sales ordinance for the Casa de Rosa site. The current sales ordinance states that the city would receive 50% of residual receipts from the sale. However, HCD is involved, and the residual receipt split is among the City of Los Angeles and HCD. The split is HCD at 6.52% and the City of Los Angeles at 43.48%.
All we wanted to do was correct the payback amount of the city loan. I had indicated in the report that the city's acquisition loan would be paid back at 50% of residual receipts, when in fact that's not correct. The split will actually be 32.85% on the city's HHH loan, 10.63% on the city's acquisition loan, and the state lien will be paid back at 6.25%. We just wanted to make that clarification for transparency.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let us prepare to vote on that item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. President, 22A, the motion has been posted, circulated, and distributed for council's consideration, sir.
Okay, well, let's just prepare to vote on that item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, I believe that leaves us with general public comment. Fred? I know Fred. Sillitt, Fred. Jacqueline Richardson, are you here? Ms. Richardson, please come forward. Kanji Sahara, please come forward. Kay Oda. Kendrick Rustard. Yes, Ms. Richardson.
This is in regard to the teachers' strike. I believe if the strike goes on too long, it could cause harm to the city. I also believe, right or wrong, that this strike was instigated by the country of Russia. That's my opinion, right or wrong. I believe it was instigated by Russia so that their people from Russia can gain more jobs here. There's a possibility of if there's too much of a strike, if it goes on too long, it could cause harm. I believe Russia is looking for more jobs for its people. It's not fair to the teachers, and I believe that Russia, the country of Russia, is the main problem. Right or wrong, I believe Russia is the problem.
Thank you. So if the next speaker would come and identify themselves.
Good morning. My name is Nancy Oda. I'm the president of the Tuna Canyon Detention Station Coalition. Before I start, Happy New Year to everyone, and congratulations to Ms. Munuri Martinez. I've let Mr. and Mrs. Kageyama know about this. Your neighbors. We're very, very proud of you and very excited. Congratulations. We are here to thank Mayor Garcetti and the entire council, but especially Monica Rodriguez and David Ryu, who adopted a resolution before you commemorating December 16, 2018, as the 77th anniversary of the opening of the Tuna Canyon Detention Station, designated that day as the Tuna Canyon Detention Station Day of Remembrance. Civil rights and human rights are guaranteed by the United States Constitution and other documents But these rights can be empty promises. They become real only to the degree that people are willing to uphold these principles. In today's world, there's increasing threats to internal security. Unfortunately, many people are fearful.
Thank you. I got to give everybody the same amount of time, even though I loved hearing from you. So I need the next speaker. You're so welcome. Next speaker, please identify yourself.
Hello, my name is Kanji Sahara, and I want to thank the Los Angeles City Council, the mayor, and especially Council Member Monica Rodriguez for this fine resolution. After the bombing of Pearl Harbor, people of Japanese ancestry were expelled from California. On April 29, 1942, our family assembled at St. Mary's Church, which is in the area now called Koreatown, and got on a long caravan of yellow buses to Santa Anita Assembly Center. In October of 1942, we were sent to Jerome concentration camp in Arkansas. These camps were chosen as the most desolate places in America to give the Japanese a feeling of isolation, insignificance, and despair. After our release from camp, we said, never again. But this year it happened again. Along the Mexican border, immigrant children were separated from their mothers. Young boys were placed in cages inside abandoned Walmart stores and forced to sleep on the floor. In order to prevent this type...
Thank you. I'm so sorry. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Donna Sugimoto. I'm the granddaughter of Shinsuke Sugimoto, who was taken from his family and incarcerated without trial at the Tuna Canyon detention station. Our government deemed him a threat because he was a martial arts teacher and he was Japanese. I wanted to thank the council members, Monica Rodriguez, David Rue, and all who helped with this resolution. When I discovered a box of his letters and artifacts, I was shocked to learn that the golf course just over the mountain where I grew up in Burbank had a dark history as a World War II incarceration camp. Replicas of these letters and his handkerchief signed by other men imprisoned there now travel in the exhibit Only the Oaks Remain, teaching current and future generations Tuna Canyon's story. A story so important, one letter is now shown in the Smithsonian National Museum of American History. These exhibits bring history to light, as does this resolution, serving as a deep reminder why something like this should never happen again. I never knew my grandfather, as he later died in camp. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for making us remember this issue. It has been discussed in this council.
Kay Oda.
No, let him go.
My name is Kay Oda, and I'm speaking on behalf of board member Mark Sturdivant about our board chairman, Lloyd Hitt. Dr. Lloyd Hitt is a resident of Sunland, California, a combat veteran of the Korean War, and a graduate of the USC School of Pharmacy in 1959. After graduation, he began to manage Hober's Pharmacy and chief pharmacist at the store manager in 1995. Soon he became president of the Little Landers Historical Society that saved Weatherwold, Blarney Castle, and the Stonehurst neighborhood and rock houses of Sun Valley. Starting in 2016 with Paul Suninishi and the Japanese American community, he has spent close to 10 years compiling information and advocating. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. President, council members. My name is James Okazaki. I also would like to thank the entire city council members. And nice to see you again, Greg. Long time no see. I'm a former city employee, retired 13 years ago and enjoying myself. But I'm involved in the community. And I'm involved in this organization called Tuna Canyon Detention Station Coalition because it recognizes the historical significance of one of three facilities that is in the city of LA. And I don't know, if a lot of people knew that we had Griffith Park, Terminal Island, and Tuna Canyon detention stations where we had Japanese as well as German and Italian they were not Americans at the time, and they were first generation. They were kept in these facilities. And anyway, the city council about 5 years ago in 2013 recognized this particular site at Verdugo Golf Course as a historical monument in the city of LA, 1039. So really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and it's so good to see you again, James. Next speaker, or is that it from this group? Okay. And I want to give you an extra 2 seconds if you could introduce the dog.
Oh, sure.
And let us know.
This is Rex. I adopted him from a mentally ill, homeless gay guy down here walking home from the dog park with my other dog, who is an emotional support dog, who, after I spoke out against General Jeff and whatnot, I ended up in the library. I was kicked out of the library by LAPD with the one dog. Just before closing, no one else was in there, but he singled me out and had to escort me out of the library. I'm bipolar, by the way, so I left my house keys there. And do you know what it's like to be not able to get into your apartment on Broadway between 4th and 5th? Well, that's why. And anyway, emotional support dogs, you don't see what they do. They keep me calm. I have a purpose. So anyway, so that's one thing. I'm running for District 14.
Let's
Thank
give
you,
him,
Weezer,
let's give
for
him his time.
finally.
Wait 1 second.
Oh,
give
sure.
him his minute because I asked about the dog, so
Okay.
I'll open that up. Go ahead.
Okay, so, well, by the way, Rex has a chip from LA County that I didn't know about, and I had gone to the Skid Row pet clinic. It's a long
You better
story,
get back
but
on
I'm
your-
on presently
your issue.
on SNAP and public health. I'm not exactly used to that or accustomed, but it's okay. I walked through Skid Row for the first time with the mentally ill, homeless guy that only spoke. He was speaking to someone else most of the time in Spanish. Anyway, so I'm going around the world here because that's how I think globally. I've traveled the world, and then focusing on how I can help my neighborhood, because I cannot stand behind getting my friends' businesses from San Francisco here because of the quality of the sidewalks. They are basically human gutters. If the gutters are cleaner than the sidewalks here in LA and downtown.
Thank you.
So anyway.
Thank you. That's your time. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Is there anyone here to speak that I haven't called? Did we get Gregory Meadows? Mr. Meadows, come on forward. Is there anyone else that signed up and their name wasn't called? Okay, Mr. Meadows, you'll be the closer. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, are you ready for me, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm here today regarding a lien that's been placed on my property. I was here a while back. I was very sick. I subsequently had triple bypass surgery. I've been real sick for some years now. But anyway, this lien was placed on my property due to a couple of cars and a horse trailer being parked in my driveway. And when I was here the last time, I spoke to my councilman who lives 10 or 12 houses down the street, and he told me to speak to a gentleman who was standing over here who had the book that would tell me how much they wanted me to pay, which I'm unable to pay. I haven't worked in over 12 or 13 years. So, but anyway, I went over there and spoke to the gentleman. I came back to my councilman, and he said, if you're not satisfied, he said, he gave me his card, and he told me, he said, if the cars move forward and back up, he said, then they're not supposed to charge you for having the cars in your driveway.
Why don't you give us a address of
39 Woodlawn Avenue.
Was there action on that item today?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure.
And
I don't
what
think
council
so.
district is that? Because what I have to do is re-refer you back to that council district.
Okay, I've been talking with people from the council district.
Well, they're the ones that have to take the lead on that.
Well, when I last spoke to the lady representative for Councilman Price, she indicated that, in other words, that it probably was going to be heard today. That's why I came here today.
Can we verify, was that on today's agenda?
No, Mr. President.
Okay,
So
so
no
that was the
action-
last thing I was told.
So
sir.
no action was taken on that, so you're going to have to check with Council District 9 again.
Okay,
And
could I finish though, sir? Could I finish
no,
saying?
No, your time is done. So, I mean, you get as much time as everybody else. So what we'll do, we'll try to check that address out and find out what's going on with it. It's our understanding there was no action today. So anyway, thank you for your comment, but your time is done. Mr. Meadows, if I give you more time, I have to give everybody more time. So thank you. That concludes general public comment. That brings us where, Madam
Mr.
Clerk?
President, council has motions for posting and referral.
Okay, they are posted. They are referred. Announcements, Ms. Martinez.
President, colleagues, last week I rang in the new year by announcing our 5th annual Toiletry Drive for Human Trafficking Awareness Month. I want to remind all members that we are going to be doing our Toiletry Drive this year again. All proceeds and all toiletries are going to go towards CAST, Saving Innocence, and Journey Out, which are the 3 organizations that we partner throughout the year to help survivors of human trafficking find their way out of that life. So members, for the past 5 years, I want to say, you have all been incredibly helpful, either through private donations or toiletries that you've donated to my office, and all of it has all gone to survivors of human trafficking. So we're doing it again this year. So we have the bins located on the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floor here at City Hall. And if you have folks in the Valley who want to drop them off at either my Van Nuys or my Sun Valley office, we have bins there as well. Like I said, this goes a really long way. We're looking for toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, hairspray, feminine hygiene products, you name it, anything that you think that young women might need. It's so empowering when we save a girl off the streets to be able to hand her own shampoo and her own feminine hygiene products. It's incredibly empowering because sometimes they simply don't have those things that they call them their own, or they simply just come to us with their clothes on their back. So again, thank you very much to all of you who have been supportive in the past, and we want to be able to do it bigger and collect more products this year. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, any other announcements? No other announcements. We can rise. All rise. For adjourning motions, I'd like to recognize Mr. Mike Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Bruce Gaino is going to join me for this one. I believe we have a photo to show. I rise today with a heavy heart and ask that we adjourn in memory of my father-in-law, Dave Arian, who passed away during the break on January 2nd after a short and tough fight against a very rare and very aggressive form of cancer. Many of you knew Dave from various aspects of his life, most recently as vice president of the Harbor Commission. Dave was a remarkable man, and trying to squeeze his life into a few moments is difficult. The arc of his life was he went from being an upstart organizer and part-time dock worker to president of the international ILWU. He went from an outspoken, self-described, left-wing radical organizer, anti-war, civil rights, labor organizer, to be vice president of the Harbor Commission here in Los Angeles, without, I dare say, ever sacrificing or compromising or changing his values. He got a well-earned reputation as a guy who got things done, who was very left-wing but reasonable, and who was extremely principled, was truth-talking, and was tough, and was incredibly compassionate. That was the arc of his life. The focus of his life, though, was threefold. It was his family, it was the ILWU, and it was his battle and his commitment to social justice. And just as in Christianity, we say that the Trinity, the God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, are all one. They are not three separate things. For him, his family, the ILWU, and that battle and that activism and that organizing were all one. He didn't juggle the three, and he didn't subjugate one to the other. He elevated them all together. like a big family event was the Labor Day March in Wilmington. One of his proudest moments, he said, was the Women's March in Los Angeles, the first one after Trump took office, because all of his children and all of his grandchildren were at that event. My wedding to Sean, he thought was a phenomenal family event, but he also thought it was hugely important that there was a huge gay marriage happening in San Pedro. And he cherished and relished in all of that. And he came by it sort of, by blood. His grandfather, whom he never met, was this guy named Israel Aryan, who was an immigrant from Lithuania who was killed downtown in Pershing Square at a demonstration, I believe in the 1920s. His father was a guy named Honest Lou Aryan. Everybody called him Honest Lou. He was a member of the ILWU and was a friend and confidant of Harry Bridges, who was the radical founder of ILWU. His mother was Rose Aryan, and Rose was the political firebrand in the family. She was the one who started the family tradition of getting arrested. She got arrested at anti-nuclear demonstrations. Dave's first memory is of women dressed in black carrying candles. And it was a demonstration that Rose brought him to in downtown Los Angeles the night before the Rosenbergs were executed. In high school, his sister Lorraine, who's a few years older, took him to Torrance to organize a demonstration outside of a housing development that said no blacks allowed. He was one of the first people in Los Angeles arrested over civil rights. He was part of a demonstration at the Federal Building in 1965 or 64 in solidarity with what was going on in Selma with Dr. King. He and his sister were arrested and spent, I think, about 10 days in jail. He was a civil rights activist. He was an anti-war activist early, not like 69. He was there in like 64 and 65. He opened in San Pedro the CAC, the Community Action Center, which was a drop-in center where hundreds of young people from San Pedro and the surrounding areas came and learned about how to engage in the civil rights struggle and the anti-war struggle and the Delano grape boycott. It was so controversial that it got attacked and stoned a few times by members of a car club in San Pedro, and it was eventually firebombed and it was burned down. The integration of Dave's politics and his family were so tight that it was politics that got him both of the lasting relationships of his life. It was at the CAC that he met Sean's mom, Roxy, who was the mother of my husband Sean and his sister Justine. And they fell in love there, and they worked together as organizers for a number of years. He worked as an organizer for the Communist Labor Party, for the Black Revolutionary Workers, and they traveled up and down the state, and they took part in strikes. Roxy and Dave were together for about 8 years, so they haven't been together for 40 years. When Dave was diagnosed, Roxy came back from Europe and was at Dave's bedside every single day. In that family, unlike most families I know, if you get divorced, you have uncomfortable moments at a wedding, and that's the only time you've seen each other. In Dave's family, everybody vacations together. His other best friend was Diane Middleton, who he met in Michigan working for a communist candidate for office. Diane came out here, and they were together for a few years, but they became lifelong political partners, doing all sorts of stuff and causing all sorts of problems, often for Joe, down in the port. His labor history, his love was ILWU, and he often said that if it weren't for ILWU, he would either be in jail or be dead. Because ILWU, as one of the most progressive unions around, whose motto is an injury to one is an injury to all, was a place that gave him a safe place to hold the radical views that he held and still make a living. He started out lugging bananas on the docks in 1965. He became a full-fledged member of ILWU in 69. He was elected president of Local 13 in 1984, served 2 terms, and then he ran a long-shot insurrection campaign for the international presidency in 91. And he did something people hadn't done before. He and the family, they went to the sugarcane fields in Hawaii, where those were the members of the LWU, and they did a grassroots campaign. And in a very close upset election, he won. And even in the lefty ILWU, it freaked people out because they thought he was too far left. It freaked people out. He was not reelected to that position, but he was then later reelected back in 2004 as head of Local 13. As his engagement with ILWU, he was a visionary who fought more for pension benefits than for salary increases because he saw what was happening and he knew that was going to be what was important. He fought for workplace safety standards, which had to change when they moved from break bulk to the big cargo containers. He made sure the hiring hall was integral to the union, and that's how everybody entered into any of the locals. And he was key in making sure that women got to become members of the ILWU. He was committed to being an organizer, and during his time with the union, the ILWU workforce at LA and Long Beach doubled. He used his perch as a labor leader to advance other progressive causes. He made sure ILWU was refusing to handle any cargo coming from apartheid-era South Africa. He objected to and stopped the shipment of nuclear fuel rods coming through the ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles. He marched and organized with the grocery workers, and he took people, labor members here, and organized to go to Nevada for Barack Obama. He was dedicated to labor history, and so when he retired in 2009, he became head of the Harvey Bridges Institute, which is dedicated to telling labor history and the lives of people in Wilmington and San Pedro, and was working with a guy named Jack Barrick on a documentary that will come out soon called Unions Make Good Families. He also wrote a book about the right to get in the fight, his history in the labor movement. After he retired, Mayor Vera Ragosa appointed him to the Harbor Commission, and it shocked a few people that this firebrand was being appointed to the commission. It raised some consternation. And he surprised people because he felt that the port had a social compact, that the port needed to do well so that the workers could do well, so that the port could benefit and serve the community. And he fought to make that port more competitive in a changing era. He fought for the Wilmington waterfront park and for Joe's waterfront development, and a whole bunch of other projects down there. He took that seriously, and even Gene Soroka, who was on the other side of the bargaining table with him in his union days, said Dave was his best ally because he got the big picture. He was pragmatic, and he knew how to get things done and bring people together. But his biggest thing really was his family. He loved his family, whether it was his sister Lorraine, his ex-wife Roxy, his ex-partner Diane. He was so proud of Sean and Justine and the way they have lived their lives and built their families. When Justine married a guy who had 2 kids. Those 2 kids, Annika and Kira, became as much his grandchildren as Jacob or Destin or Jaden Rose. They were all his grandkids. He would come up every single Saturday from San Pedro, would drive up to Mar Vista and pick Jacob up, take him down to San Pedro for swimming lessons, take him to the park, hang out with them for the day. They had epic pillow fights. But Dave, family wasn't about blood for him. Just as he had these great connections with his exes, anyone could become a part of his family. If you were in the ILWU, you were his family. I was shocked at the first holiday event I went to because there were like 70 people there. None of them looked like each other. None of them were actually related by blood, but they were all family. There's this guy, AJ, who was friends of his niece. And he met AJ, and AJ was having a rough time, and he was struggling with drugs, and he was unemployed. Dave had faith in him. Dave said, you know what? Why don't you go to our house in Hawaii, and you be the groundskeeper there at that farm? And his faith in AJ turned AJ's life around. And that kind of story I heard so often as Dave was dying, that he just put so much faith in everybody, and that inspired people to be their best selves. He was, as I said, incredibly outspoken. He raised some eyebrows when he was at an event in Wilmington, and he told them that they're not going to get what they want because they don't vote enough for the mayor or Joe to pay attention, and he called on them to rise up, Wilmington, rise up, Wilmington. He was at a TCT committee meeting one day. We were talking about the Clean Action Plan, and Joe and I were pushing the port to go further than they could. And Mr. Krikorian was there as well. And Dave took offense. And he thought that we were, as he said, selling wolf tickets, over-promising, and telling people we could do things that we couldn't. And Joe asked Gene Soroka a question. And Gene started getting up to answer. And Dave, like a hockey player checking another hockey player, pushed Gene out of the way, came up, and dressed us down. Told us we were selling wolf tickets and said to us, "If you have a better plan, show it to me." And then sat back down. That was Dave's. When he met Ed Renwick, who's an equity finance guy on the Port Commission, he said to Ed, "Oh, I guess the mayor thought you needed a capitalist. Well, I'm the socialist." When he came here for Fleet Week, he was representing the port when they had the Fleet Week here, and all the uniformed guys were here. I took a picture from here, and I told him, I'm going to post this on Facebook and show it to all of your lefty friends from the 60s. He made me delete it. Dave was an intellectual. He read 50 books a year. He was self-educated, really. He went to high school but dropped out of college. And he taught himself political theory and economic theory and a theory of power. And he had very firm ideas about capitalism and the power structure in this country. My family heard about it on our last vacation. He actually used, believe it or not, dialectical materialism as a way to flirt with a beautiful tour guide in Italy. If you can imagine, I can't imagine how somebody can talk Marxism and actually be flirting, but he actually did. And Dave told me, because Dave's been sort of a role model for me about trying to be progressive and push the edge. He told me that I finally became part of the family when I got arrested last summer over the immigration stuff. In his final days, most members of the family had a moment with him where they got to say goodbye. And he said a few words back. And I missed that. And so I saw him later, and I said what I had to say. And I didn't get a verbal response at that point. And I was kind of disappointed. And then a few hours later that day, as I was taking Jacob and saying goodbye, I grabbed his hand and said, "Goodbye, Dave, I love you." And he put his fist in the air, like this. That was all I needed to hear. That was solidarity. That was continue the fight. That was continue the struggle. So, colleagues, and particularly Mr. Wesson, when I'm a pain in the butt and I'm pushing the envelope and I'm doing something, that's Dave. That is Dave's spirit motivating me. A lot of folks have said that Dave is going to leave a void. Dave is not going to leave a void, and Dave would be pissed if he thought that people felt that he was leaving a void, because he was an organizer. Organizers don't leave voids. They make sure someone is carrying on the work. So the void is being filled today by the UTLA that are out on these streets. The void is being filled by the people who are continuing the work at the port. The void is being filled by the Sunrise Movement here in Los Angeles and the new generation of activists. And they are sort of carrying on what Dave would do. And he would be very proud of that. His last organizing was around his cancer. When he was diagnosed, he called an organizing meeting at Diane Middleton's house, and there were 60, 100 people there. And it wasn't, hey, woe is me. It's like, all right, I have this thing. We need to do a lot of work. And he gave everybody assignments. And they carried on, and they organized. And they did what he would do. Dave spoke truth to power. He spoke truth about power, and he spoke with power. So I love you, Dave.
Well said. Well said, Mr. Bond, and I think Mr. Buscaino would like to tag on to that a bit.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mike, just know, as I mentioned last Thursday in the Port Commission meeting, that you're all not alone. Significant loss to my district and to the city. And I turn to you and Sean, Justine, and the entire family, and thanked you all for sharing him with us. It's hard to capture in just a few minutes the life of someone who had an incredible impact in Council District 15, but Mike just did that. He did that with such grace. And
Can you tell the Papadakis story?
I just know last Thursday at the commission hearing, 3 hours of testimony of people that he impacted in the community, in the labor movement, in the social justice movement, in the environmental justice movement. It was just an incredible tribute to a man who gave so much of his life and time to our city and to our port communities. And the story I shared with him, I'll never forget, when someone questioned him at the Port Commission. He stood up on this whole waterfront development thing, and Dave says, "You're full of shit, man. You want to fight? You got one." And we're all, that's the fighter that we'll never forget in Dave. And that was something that we will treasure. The last time I spoke to Dave was last summer. He came to me in a time where we're talking and debating about the bridge home. And he came up to me and shared how much support he would give and what he can do to help get the community to embrace solving issues of homelessness in our city, particularly in the Wilmington and in the San Pedro communities. Clearly, as you heard from our colleague and his son-in-law Mike, we lost a fighter. We clearly lost a mentor, a labor leader, and a legend. He will not be forgotten, and just know that, to sharing that to Mike and the entire family. It'll be our duty to carry on his love and his contributions, and we're going to do that permanently. Last Thursday, the Port Commission will rename Minor Street Dave Aryan Way, and that street leads to a bench that he valued out in the outer harbor, where he will take a lot of his friends and family to sit on that wooden bench overlooking the Pacific Ocean, overlooking the Angels Gate Lighthouse, where you saw the national, international economy move with the ships that came in and out. And we're looking forward to leaving a permanent mark when we rename Minor Street Dave Aryan Way. And lastly, if I can, Mr. President, share with you an incredible 3-minute video that the Port put together celebrating his life and contributions to the Port communities as well as to our city. I'd like to share with you and cue that video now, which we thought was an incredible tribute.
Why don't we I guess it'd be appropriate. Why don't we hold that, Mr. Cedillo,
Yeah.
and then we'll end with the adjourning.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Cedillo.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sure others also want to speak. So when I decided to run for the city council, I wanted to get informed about the city. So I always left my television station on the city channel so I could see what was going on. And so one day I'm getting ready and I hear this man give this incredible presentation on the value of the port. And he gives this whole kind of analysis of the global economy and the significance of the port. And it was very thorough, very profound, very insightful. And I thought, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. So, I looked up and it was David. And I thought, oh my God. So I called him and I got him on the phone and I said, hey man, when did you get so smart? And he said, so I told him, it was me and stuff. And he's like, I said, hey, I'm running for city council, right? And he said, well, think of that, you on the council, me here. And so it was a nice moment because it was, as Mike has laid out his arc, the development of this incredible leader. He is, as I like to quote this Italian leader, Antonio Gramsci, he is what he would call an organic intellectual. He was from the working class. He lived that experience, but he went beyond that and gathered and built his intellect based on his life experiences and then on his incredible depth of understanding of all the reading that he did. So he was really, really special. You know, I was a union organizer one time back, and so when I started organizing at the Harbor General Hospital, I got this call from some of his comrades who said, hey, we'd like to talk to you at Diane Middleton's office. And so I went down, and they invited me to join the Harbor Labor Coalition. And so I was involved in the early efforts of organizing that march. Of course, in '91, Mr. President, you remember we had that strike, Rolling Thunder. And it was the same time Dave, who was just one of the most, easy to say, the most progressive labor leader in the country. No question about that. Openly progressive, as Mike said, very open about his political affiliations, his worldview, and was really one of the most preeminent labor leaders in this country, working for one of the most progressive unions in the history of this nation. And so it was an honor to know him. But one of the things I want to leave you with, and thank you, Mike, was that when I did get elected, we were able to have dinner, and it gave me an opportunity to sit for a couple hours with Dave and Sean and Mike and talk about the evolution of our politics in our life and of the relevance of that. No anticipation that he would be sick. I think the last time I saw him here, we had a nice conversation. Always somebody you can just have a good time, insightful, thoughtful, funny, a great perspective on everything in life. And Joe, not just a loss for the harbor, but for this city, for this state, this nation, and frankly, for a man like him, for the world.
Let's play the video.
Well, you know, when I started on the waterfront in 1964, there was very few containers, and the transition has been amazing, you know, and if you look around the harbor, you'll see smaller ships that carry 2,000, 3,000, and now we've got 20,000 TU container ships, and as a result of that, you know, we're now moving more containers than any other port in the country. And I just think that it's important for us to see not only the question of movement of cargo, but what does it do for the community to make a difference in the lives of each and every person that lives in this community. Well, you know, I think the Port of LA, you know, has a dual responsibility. One, to, you know, maximize our profits, you know, off what we make, particularly off the container operations or terminals. But at the same time, you know, we have a social responsibility to the community. And so much of everything in terms of what the community looks at is not these big projects, but projects like this. The thing that makes all this possible, when you look out at these cranes that are working, and you count the number of cranes working, and you see 50 or 60 cranes working, that's money coming into the port. And that's what makes events like this possible. People are recognizing the port now for the great work that it's done. And now when we look at the commercial side and the development of the San Pedro market, we see the brewery, we see Crafted, we see these things that are changing the character of this area. And we made a contribution that really enhances who we are as a port. Well, it's always good to be back in my home here, Local 13. And tonight, we're making the rounds because last year, you guys, the women and men in this hall in 63 and 94, moved 9.4 million containers, the largest number in the history of this port.
And the greatest thing I learned about the ILWU is they give you the right to be in the fight. It's the most democratic union. And, you know, the things that I've learned is, you know, in life, if you can be part of one thing that's special, it really gives you meaning in life. And I've been part of something that's been so special to us, to this community, to this country, and to the world.
The 26th at 11 a.m. at the ILWU hiring hall in Wilmington, the new one that just opened that he put his heart and soul into creating, with a reception to follow at the brewery at Crafted.
Thank you. That was really touching and well done. Okay, members, there's no more business. Mr. Wizar. Yes.
Thank you, and a beautiful tribute to David. Thank you very much. And colleagues, I wish that I ask that we also adjourn in memory of Ramiro Flores Argomaniz, a great husband, father, grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, a friend, and a great human being. Ramiro Flores Argomaniz was born on June 9, 1933 in Valparaiso, Zacatecas, Mexico, to Leon Argomaniz and Dominga Flores. Ramiro lived in Zacatecas until 1955 alongside his life partner Raquel Montellano, who he met at the age of 15. They married and moved to Lincoln Heights before settling down in Boa Heights, where they purchased their home in 1970 and still lived there until his passing earlier this month. Ramiro passed his compassion and loving character to his 6 children, Teresa, Ramiro Jr., Richard, Roberto, Manuel, and Rogelio, who have all prospered to live wonderful lives. Many of his children serve in law enforcement, including with the Ontario Police Department, LAPD's Hollenbeck, Van Nuys, Centro, Newton, and Southeast Divisions, and Metro's Mounted Unit. Both Ramiro Jr. and Manny received LAPD's highest distinguished honor, the Medal of Valor. In 1990, Ramiro and Raquel were proud to become United States citizens, and they have been shining examples of Los Angeles' immigrant community all their adult lives. I first met Ramiro and his beautiful family through his son Robert, who quickly became my friend and mentor during my internship as a legal law student at Legal Aid Foundation's East LA office. During my summer internship, I attended several Argomaniz family events at Ramiro's home, including the baptism of Robert's son, among other family events. Ramiro and his wife Raquel welcomed me with open arms, and I will never forget their warm hospitality and kindness. Ramiro received many accolades for his community involvement, including a city recognition from former CD14 Councilmember Richard Alatorre for his multiple wins in the community for the community. I presented Ramiro with a birthday certificate for his 80th birthday alongside my good friend Luis Moreno, who was also a friend of the Argomaniz family and who has since passed as well. In addition to his love for his family and friends, Ramiro was also known for his love of the Los Angeles Dodgers. His connection to the team dates back to the early days in Los Angeles, working alongside future Dodgers legendary scout Mike Brito. Ramiro and Mike worked side by side at Price Vista as metal mold makers and laborers. During that time, they performed and they worked. They developed a friendship and began playing baseball with one another and against one another. And from attending games at the Coliseum to listening to the golden voice of Vince Scully announcing it's time for Dodger baseball, Ramiro never missed an opportunity to watch his beloved Dodgers take the field and was never seen without his Dodgers hat. A selfless man with a strong as iron work ethic, Ramiro was a genuinely kind soul, and his legacy will live on forever through all the lives he touched. My deepest and our deepest condolences to his wife Raquel, his 6 children, Teresa, Ramiro, Jr., Richard, Robert, Roberto, Manuel, and Rogelio, his 5 daughters-in-law, 18 grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, 1 great-great-grandson, and countless friends, and all those whose lives he touched. He will be greatly missed, and may Ramiro Argomaniz rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And members, before we adjourn, we had a group of folk that have entered. Public comment is already over, but I'll reopen it for a minute. If you would designate an individual. Sergeant Snow, we just really appreciate how respectful you were during this very important thing that we do at every council member. So we're sorry you got here a little late, but please, we'll give you a minute so that you can make your statement. Go right ahead.
Thank you, sir, and my most sincere condolences to you all. We are here with Reclaim Our Schools Los Angeles. We are a coalition of parents, students, and community organizers. We're fighting alongside teachers, UTLA, to end this strike, to get a just, fair contract for our teachers, to get smaller classes for our students. I specifically, I'm requesting for all of you guys to please, we've attempted to voice our opinions and our demands, and we are not being listened. And you all have the authority to be heard. And we are asking of you all to please pick a side, inform yourselves, please, of what's going on. Not everything that's going on in the media is the reality. We are being starved at our schools. Our communities are being kept down time and time again.
We also have a letter for every community
Hello,
member.
1 minute. Just give her 1 minute.
Letters to
If
each
we can-
council member.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Go
thank
ahead.
you.
Thank you.
You explain the letter?
Yes.
They're just a list of our demands.
Okay, it's a list of our demands. We're demanding smaller classroom sizes. We're demanding more qualified personnel to better identify the needs that our students have and to receive the resources that our students need. We need more counselors. We need nurses at our schools every day. Our school, the school where my children attend, we only have her available 1 day out of the week. 4 years ago, we had her full time. And, you know, kids are not allowed to get sick. Kids don't get excused when they're ill because sometimes we don't have money to take our kids to the doctor. And our nurses will help us identify, okay, your child has a fever, they may have a virus. Okay, they'll excuse this
Thank you.
absence.
Thank you.
Thank you, because I can only give 1 minute. Again, the members of this council are very sensitive to what's going on. The members of this council have, many of them have stood with you, and we offer to be involved in any way that we can, because what's important to this council is to get our kids back in school to help prepare them for their future lives. So thank you for coming in. Members, this council meeting is adjourned.
Wilmington and San Pedro have always been the gateway to Catalina since back in the late 1800s. My father, myself, and a friend of mine started Catalina Express along with my brother Tim in 1981. And we came in to actually replace the seaplanes that were at that point going out of service. So what we needed to do was replace that service with fast boats. So we went out, we bought one boat, it was a 50 passenger, and we started out with doing 3 runs a day. Well, about 1 million to 1.2 million people go to and from Catalina on an annual basis. And back in 1981 when we started, I think we carried 3,500 people that year. Both my daughter Amanda and my son Eric, they're all in the business. This building was actually built back in 1966, and it was the seaplane hangar building. They'd take off underneath the Vincent Thomas Bridge. Our goal was really to make it so people felt their trip started when they got here. There's bocce ball courts here located on premises. There's also a putting green. We got fire pits when it's chilly out, and people do seem to feel like they're on their way to Catalina as soon as they walk through the gate. Wilmington used to be the location for the freight service here to the island, and to bring them both onto the same property has been a home run. The Port of Los Angeles has been a real partner in this all the way along. They worked very well with us in trying to come up with a solution for this move. And I think that what we've come up with is one of the best locations we have. When we brought our employees back to this location, we were able to bring 100 employees back this way. Catalina Express employs approximately 325 employees in total, with the vessel crews and administration and ticket sales and the terminal facilities. Avalon Freight Services employs approximately 26 people, with operating the 2 vessels that we have, as well as the warehouse here and on the island. The island is always growing. It's been an exciting part of being not just in passengers, but also in freight now. A normal week of freight going to Catalina Island is 5 days a week, 15 trailers. It's shipping fuel, it's food, it's beverages, it's everything you can imagine that has to go to an island to keep it moving. My favorite hobbies are getting out and going fishing. It's a lot of fun to go out off the island and do some fishing. It's always been known as a fishing paradise. Well, I think the favorite part of Catalina Express for me is working around the water. I've been around the water all my life. We just like to be a big part of this overall Catalina Express family. Our whole team here has worked hard to build what we built. There's no I's here, it's a lot of we's, and we really all enjoy it.
Wait. And understand that that's your home. How does it feel just looking at it right now? It's hard to look at. It's really tough. You know, actually the hardest thing that you wouldn't even think that's difficult is, you know, you go shopping to look for some clothes and you say, oh, this top would go good with this skirt. Oh, I don't have that skirt. Or this, you know, it just kind of jogs things. And that's really difficult.
However difficult that might be, togetherness in times of need was the theme for today's Climate Emergency Solidarity Tour. LA Councilmember Paul Koretz hosted Mayor Carmen Yulín Cruz of San Juan, Puerto Rico, to tour areas severely damaged by the fire.
In solidarity with us and the terrible fires that we've had, and this is probably one of the most devastated spots. Half of a mobile home park is okay, and the other half is completely destroyed and flattened.
Houses like this one have been decimated in the fire.
We never really thought that the fire was going to do what it did. Nobody ever does.
Climate change was the main issue that Koretz and Cruz aimed to take action for, especially after seeing a pattern with the California wildfires and hurricanes in Puerto Rico.
But the point is, this is because of our growing climate emergency, and the city has created a climate emergency mobilization department. We're all looking at local solutions, but things that can be implemented countrywide, worldwide.
Residents like Paulette had sensed the climate change.
We were at 4% humidity the day before the fire. It was so bad I felt like I was going to get a bloody nose. It was really dry. It was so windy. And I told a neighbor and I told our community manager that I think we're going to have a fire because it's just so dry. I've never felt it this dry.
I'm here with Mayor Cruz of San Juan, who's touring the devastation area today. Can you tell us what your thoughts and what you've seen so far?
You think of these devastated areas and you see them via the TV. And you see the devastation in the infrastructure. But to come here and see the pain that people have gone through, and understand that climate change is not about politics. It's about saving lives.
That motivated Cruz to come to California today for the first time.
It's something that I've seen in movies and in TV shows and so forth. But you know, when you touch the people and you make sure that you are sharing with them this climate solidarity tour, it's important. On the one hand side, you saw total devastation, and on the other side, you saw the vastness of the ocean and how beautiful everything can be if we work at it together.
Climate change and other environmental issues are the focus of one local art exhibit as artists seek to raise awareness and send a message through their dramatic pieces. Ana Marcos takes us to the Unnatural Disasters exhibition at LA's Craft and Folk Art Museum.
The images in the Unnatural Disasters exhibit are beautiful, stark, strange, and often disturbing. They show our environment and all the catastrophes that man creates in it.
The colors are wonderful. It's just very creative, yeah.
Enter the Unnatural Disasters exhibition, and one of the first works of art to greet you is this bright yellow piece called Cooling Trend, a timely painting about climate change. And you will get a lot more than just bright, wonderful colors. This is the work of 80-year-old feminist and environmental artist Miriam Estes.
She makes very specific references in some pieces to the, let's say, the Fukushima nuclear disaster, or the Gulf of Mexico oil spills.
And what with priests setting themselves on fire during the bombing of Vietnam, and oceans being drowned in crude oil and radioactivity, there is plenty here for the unique breed of art lovers who come to visit. Many are environmentalists themselves.
We've just kind of, as a species, just kind of like continue to just take from the earth without even thinking about the consequences.
The exhibit, located at the Craft and Folk Art Museum on Wilshire Boulevard, also draws art lovers, big and small, who are interested in crafts and fabrics. At any time, there are several exhibits going on here. Estes' work, for all its serious subject matter, uses plenty of textures, fabrics, paints, sculptures, and even glitter.
2 out of 3 of us really love art museums and crafts as well. Also like quilting very much, and some of this reminds me of quilting.
To some, it may look like quilting, but to me, this strong painting about a nuclear blast at Los Alamos reminds me of mutated cows. So it's all in the eye of the beholder.
I wouldn't have known immediately